Right now at 6, charges dismissed and then filed again.
It's just ridiculous. It's ridiculous. It's sad.
Emotions run high after a judge throws out all charges against former Philadelphia police officer Mark Dial, who was caught on video killing Eddie Irizarry.
We have said from the very beginning this is a tragedy and not a crime.
The stunning decision is leaving Irizarry's family outraged.
They murdered, they ambushed. He was not a threat to none of them.
Now there are growing demands for justice for Eddie. It is a case that shocked many people after we saw the shooting happen on the officer's body camera, but the judge said there is not enough evidence to prove that Mark Dial committed a crime. Good evening, I'm Jessica Cartalia.
And I'm Yuki Washington, and prosecutors have already refiled the charges against Dial. Let's begin our coverage of today's decision. Josh Sanders has reaction from the community.
But first, Dan Snyder caught up with Irizarry's family outside the courtroom. Dan?
We have said from the very beginning this is a tragedy and not a crime.
Everyone in Philadelphia seen a murder. They see my nephew get murdered, ambushed in car, and they threw away all his charges.
Emotions were high outside the Philadelphia Center for Criminal Justice Tuesday morning, moments after a judge dismissed all charges against former Philadelphia police officer Mark Dial in the deadly shooting of Eddie Irizarry. Defense attorney Brian McMonigal says the decision brings justice for his client.
This should have never been charged as a crime, and we're elated that Mark's coming home to his family.
Today's hearing was the first time we heard from Dial's partner, Officer Michael Morris. Officer Morris was adamant in his testimony to prosecutors that he, quote, vocalized Irizarry was holding a knife and raising it. But when defense took over the questioning, Morris questioned what he actually said. Attorneys also showed both officers' body camera videos and surveillance video near the scene. Family members cried as Irizarry's lifeless body was pulled from the car. Dial also cried at least twice.
He wept in that courtroom today. He takes no joy in the fact that this young man lost his life.
Ultimately, Judge Wendy Pugh sided with the defense and dismissed all charges, including first-degree murder, third-degree murder, and voluntary manslaughter, citing a, quote, lack of evidence. Irizarry's family left the courthouse angered by the decision.
You just proved to Philadelphia that an officer can kill somebody and get will fit in Philadelphia.
Despite today's ruling, family members and prosecutors were steadfast that this is not the end of their fight for justice.
We do not agree with the judge's decision today to dismiss all the charges. We will file an appeal of this decision before the end of the day today.
And my family here is standing up, and we're going to continue to fight because this is not going to stay like that, because this was a murder.
The district attorney's office has already refiled charges against Dial, including that most serious charge of murder. Defense attorneys say their focus right now is getting Dial home and with his family. They did not say whether they'll push to have him reinstated on the police force. In Center City, Dan Snyder, CBS News, Philadelphia.
All right, Dan, thank you. Some people are starting to gather outside of City Hall right now, demanding justice for Eddie Irizarry. Community organizers say that they're frustrated with the judge's decision, and they are now calling for accountability. CBS News Philadelphia reporter Josh Sanders is live at City Hall. Josh, what can you tell us?
Jessica, good evening. Very frustrated. Several dozen of those protesters gathering outside of City Hall, calling for justice after Judge Wendy Pugh earlier today dismissed all charges against the officer responsible for Eddie Irizarry's death. Obviously an emotional day for his family and this community. I did speak with a Kensington pastor who shepherds the neighborhood where Irizarry lost his life. He says despite today's decision, he's calling for the community to remember Irizarry's family as they continue to call for justice.
Today was a disgusting joke for justice.
Kensington pastor and community organizer Carl Day not holding back after Judge Wendy Pugh threw out charges against former Philadelphia police officer Mark Dial in the August 14th shooting death of Eddie Irizarry.
You can't continue to expect civility. You can't continue to expect people to just remain calm, people to remain hopeful when they're placing their trust in systems that are continuously failing.
Tuesday's decision weighing heavily on Councilwoman Ketsi Lozada, a Latina who represents the 7th District. She says the decision is a setback in police and community trust.
I think over the last few years we've worked really hard to bridge and improve the relationship between the police department and the citizens of the city of Philadelphia, and decisions like this make it much more difficult.
But beyond the emotional turmoil of today, both Day and Lozada are reminding the community to keep Irizarry's family at the forefront of accountability and justice.
I just think that we as a community got to rally around, first and foremost, that family, but also rally around each other and begin to move differently.
I think it's our responsibility as a community to continue to support that family, to be there when they need us, but to remain united and demand that this family and that the community that he lived in receive the justice that they deserve.
Now, Councilwoman Lozada says there is a genuine strength in the Irizarry family, and while they do want justice, they want the community to rally in peace. We also reached out to the Fraternal Order of Police for comment. They've directed us to Mark Dial's attorney. For now, Josh Sanders live at City Hall, CBS News, Philadelphia.
Josh, keep us updated. Thank you. We brought many of you the breaking news on our website. When the judge dismissed the charges this morning, you can always find the latest developments in the case at cbsphiladelphia.com.